Let's welcome in our morning guest at this moment.
Welcome in our guests. We have Mr. T.S. Harihar, Mr. S.P. Prasad and Ruchit Jain joining us this morning. Ruchit, good morning. Let's start with your top picks.
Good morning, Anisha. Well, all the markets have consolidated last week, but lots of stock-specific action is there, and we believe that in the week ahead, the markets would also move up, and specifically the mid-cap stocks would outperform the broader indices. So I have two buy recommendations from the mid-cap space. First is Motherson Sumi. After a consolidation of about 6 months, we have seen the prices have given a breakout from the consolidation phase. It is very close to its previous high, but if we observe the closing chart then and the momentum readings, it is indicating that this previous highs would be broken out, and we would see a good continuation of the momentum which we had seen during last week. So even at current levels, one can look to go long in Motherson Sumi from trading perspective of about 1 week's time frame, keeping a stop loss below 341 and target of 376. And my second pick from the mid-cap space is PTC India. Probably a bit short to medium term, wherein one should have focus for at least 1 to 2 months in this stock. The stock on the weekly as well as monthly chart has given a breakout from its consolidation phase, and we are expecting the momentum to continue towards 106. So quite a good upside is seen in this stock even from current levels. So one can buy with stop loss below 85, target of 106, but need to give time of at least 1 month for this.
All right, Mr. Harihar, what are your top picks?
Well, I have two on the buy side and one on the sell side. First, I have a buy on State Bank of India. We like the results that came out last week. I thought that despite the fairly tough conditions, they have managed to grow the profits by more than 100%. You can always say that 7% gross NPS is high, but I think compared to other PSU banks, it's still a lot more comfortable. We have a target of about 345-350 as far as State Bank of India is concerned. The second is a much smaller NBFC player on the MFI space, and we like Satin Credit Care, which announces the results on Friday, and despite the demonetization risk, we thought that the results were extremely good as far as the last quarter was concerned. We have a target of about 540-550 as far as Satin is concerned. The last is a sell on Idea. The results were very disappointing. In fact, after 41 quarters, I think Idea has actually gone into a loss. We believe that the rise in the price after the proposed merger was again overstated, and I think it should correct back to a lower level. 90 is our immediate target, but I think eventually the stock should get back to about 80-85 levels.
All right, so disappointed with Idea, and that's a sell. Mr. Prasad, what are your top picks? Last week you added SPI to your list. Today Harihar has done it. What are the top picks for today?
Good morning to everybody. SBI has always been on my pick list. I mean, it's in between I'd gone on buy on declines. As Harihar rightly mentioned, results have been very good, especially in the aftermath of the demonetization. So SBI is a stock I continue to definitely like. CASA is helping them, good retail book, and generally a very well run bank. So SBI in the public sector space is a bank which I like. HBCL is a stock I continue to like in the oil space. I like Sun Pharma also, which I've mentioned in the past. Especially the pharma stocks have really got beaten quite badly, and for right reasons in some sense. And there's one sector which is really not participated in the rally that we've seen. So pharma Sun is a name which I clearly like. So these are the three top names that come to my mind. And of course, the old favorite HDFC Bank is another name which I continue to like.
All right, we also have Meghna Malkan now joining us. Meghna, good morning. What are your top picks?
Yeah, good morning. My picks for the day. The first one I would like to recommend Adani Power. The stock is, firstly, technically the stock is forming high tops, high bottoms in daily charts. If you see, it's the way it's halted in Friday close, it's come to the moving average support on daily charts. The momentum is strong, and the volume goes with the trend. So I would like to buy Adani with a stop of 35 for a target of 41 on the upside. So that calls for a good buy. My second buy call again would be on CESC. The power company really looks good. So and it's the momentum again is strong here. It's got a low risk reward ratio currently. So CESC is a good buy with a stop of 820 for a target of 890.
Idea declared numbers. That will be a stock which will be in focus. Weak set of numbers and probably the first impact as far as the Jio results are concerned. Losses at about 383 odd crores. Sales came in at
weak quarter for GSK. Okay, Pankaj. Now, lots to watch out for. Sun, Idea, number of stocks that could be in focus.
Absolutely, Anisha. A lot of stocks that you told about results, apart from this, large ones as you mentioned, like Idea, Bank of Baroda, SBI second day into the results, all of that could be in focus. SV, did you look at Idea's numbers? Do you think that the stock can see a sharp fall on the downside?
See, the only thing I would imagine is holding up the stock is this whole business of merger. And if you recall, I had mentioned even earlier that always sell whenever such kind of corporate action takes place. Buy into a buyback and sell into a merger is a kind of cliche, you can say, is something that I've always advocated. Now, you have a business where Jio is really sort of destroying a lot of value for some of the established players. So it's not a surprise that Idea and other results that are going to come are going to show the kind of numbers that have come. And let's say compared to a Bharti and Reliance Com and others, what if it all holds up Idea is in terms of the merger and what would be the ratio and so on and so forth. I think people should have sold much earlier. I had mentioned it in the past as well. But I think better to sell even now rather than hoping that they'll make that mythical extra buck based on what the ratio is going to happen when the merger takes place.
Right, just market opening in the next few seconds. We should start getting first prizes. Idea will be in focus. Bank of Baroda should also react to numbers. There you go. Idea is down about 3.8%, 106, 107 for Idea. Hindalco numbers today, standalone numbers. Infosys has been in news. It's up around 6 rupees or so. Tata Steel is up around 5 rupees. Most of the commodity stocks worldwide did well. Maybe that's why these names are doing well. GAIL is up around 1% or so. Idea, first tick is on the lower side, down about 3.9%, 106 for Idea, 4 to 5 rupees in terms of decline. Bank of Baroda is down 4%. It's not that great set of numbers. In fact, expectations were even higher and from BOB versus some of the other PSU. Maybe that's why down around 4%. RCom, it's reacting to numbers. It's down by about 2% or so, 0.65 paisa down, but the interest versus Idea is way lower. Sun TV reacting to numbers, but not much. So it's just down about 4 rupees. As I told you, two segments of business, one disappointed, but one did decently well. Coal India down about 2%, 8.5 to 9 rupees on the lower side. Numbers were not that great, especially the e-auction volumes. GAIL is up about 1.2 odd percent, 39,000 shares traded. Looking in decent, numbers were also in line. There was nothing that would disappoint the street because of numbers. CRISIL is up around 1.5%, 2,102, but volumes are yet to pick up and the interest in the stock has also reduced quite a bit. Mahanagar Gas, 13,000 shares in terms of volumes, doing well, 1.5%. Numbers were good, numbers were decent. They were expected to be the same way. Uflex, you'll hear from the management soon, down about 2 rupees or so based on numbers, 270, 271 for Uflex. Vatek Wabak down about 0.5%, 2 to 3 rupees lower, but again, just 6,000 shares traded. GSK Pharma, another company which is very low in terms of volumes and the trading action is down by about 0.5% or so. Suzlon, it seems as if it's a turnaround quarter, but it's a first after a while, so maybe that's why that sort of reaction. 7.5% higher, 10.6 million shares traded, 18 to 19 rupees on the higher side. Reliance Capital, you'll hear from the management in just a few minutes from now. 5 rupees declined, 488. Numbers did not get much impacted by demonetization, but numbers overall were not that great. That's SRF for you, 723 for SRF, down about 1.6. Numbers were okay. They were not that good, not that bad. Engineers India, again, numbers were strong, but they were expected to be strong. So that's why probably this reaction up about a rupee or so. Balakrishna Industry is up around 2%. Numbers look decently strong, 1208 for Balakrishna Industry. Jaiprakash Associates down about 1% or so, 20 paisa, but really the action seems to be very, very low. Anisha, any other names that you can pick up?
Well, there are result reactions which we are playing out. You mentioned Suzlon, and that's up 8% on strong volumes. Balrampur Chini is up 4%. We've got Hindustan Motors up 12%. There was news that the brand ambassador has been sold, so that stock has reacted pretty strongly. Vedanta is up 2.5%. Dish TV is up 2.5%. Bajaj Hindustan also up 2%. So the sugar stocks are buzzing. We are seeing a good move in Hindalco. and India Bulls Real Estate is also up 2%. On the losing side, Future Consumer is down 4.5%, Idea Seller is down 4%, IFCI also came out with its earnings, that is down 3.5%, Bank of Baroda down 3%, Crompton Greens down 3%, and Coal India down about 2.5%. So these are the stocks that are reacting on volumes. Ruchit, what do you see on the charts for Sun TV? We've seen a phenomenal rise on the charts. Do you think any dip is a buying opportunity, or should one be cautious?
Well, Anisha, on the charts, definitely the stock is looking quite strong, because if you see, then during the first week of February itself, the stock had given a breakout from its previous resistance with a good gap up opening. And as of now, even in last 4-5 days, although the prices are consolidating, but it is not even able to breach the 5 days of exponential moving average, which is a very short-term indication of a very short-term trend. So I think the trend is positive. Definitely, if any kind of dips we get in the stock, that should be used as a buying opportunity. One should not forget that this stock usually tends to be very high volatile, so one should definitely keep strict stop losses in this. Any declines up to 680, 690.
All right. So he was talking about Sun TV, where he thinks declines towards 690 could perhaps be a good reason to buy this stock. Meghna, what would you do with Bank of Baroda? Today we are seeing a gap down, but this stock has seen a strong up move and is resisting, it's near resistance levels of 190 or so. Post the move that has happened today, 5.5% down, how would you see it on the charts? What would you do with the stock?
Yeah, Anisha, Bank of Baroda is actually, if you see technically, if it's a high time frame chart, for example, if it's a weekly chart, the stock is attempting to move out of the consolidation. It was consolidating in a short range. It's moving out. Interestingly, very interestingly, the momentum, which was also in a range, it's trying to move out with good volume. So I would say this stock is a good buy. When you have the 20 period moving average in the weekly chart, I would essentially put that as a good support while tracking the stock. I believe a dip to around 165 level is a very good buying opportunity. So I would really track that stock to buy that level when it comes there.
Right. Hariyar, what do you do with Bank of Baroda? Decline of 5%, that was a technical view, but do you think that investors have been waiting for results and results recovery for long?
See, actually, as you rightly said, there have been expectations that probably other than SBI, BOB could have been one PSU bank with a fairly better asset quality, but I don't think that apparently seems to be the case. And what's happening in the PSU banking space is that the gap between SBI and the other PSU banks, you look at PNB has about 14-15%, look at IDBI 15.5% NPA. I think you take any of the other mid-sized to large-sized banks, I think in all cases the average NPA seems to be about 14%. So I think the whole idea in PSU banks now seems to be gravitating that probably the only bank worth buying seems to be SBI and none else. So I don't think I would be too positive on BOB. In fact, use higher levels to probably either exit or go short on the stock.
Right. So as of now, with yields hardening, again, outlook for PSU banks not looking that good?
I'm not sure how much of that yield hardening would make a difference to the bank portfolio, because my understanding the yield hardening is roughly about 30 to 35 basis points, which may not make a substantial difference as far as these banks are concerned. But I think the bigger worry to me is that, see, remember this quarter there was no AQR, and normally whenever there is an AQR, the hit on the bank balance sheets could be a lot worse. So I think the next 2 quarters in my view would be more critical, and I would be more worried with the NPS rather than about the yields of the banks.
Right. SV, what do you do with commodity names? Now, commodity, I'm talking about the underlying LME commodities, did very well. And some of the commodity stocks like Tata Steel, Hindustan Zinc, Nalco, all are doing very well. Do you think that rally in the commodity stocks would continue?
I'm not so sure, frankly, because I think the values have perhaps gone a little ahead of the earnings. I think there's also the global this thing on commodities. One, the cycle had to turn, and I think more importantly, with with the change of the president in America and the kind of policies that he's already announced and what is anticipated, I think that's perhaps one of the reasons why the commodity sector as a whole globally has gone. As far as Indian commodities are concerned, the market is the sales is always going to be an issue, because let's face it, the infrastructure growth story which we've been hearing, which will help a lot of these commodity stocks, is not really happening, and this disruption of demonetization, and then we have GST starting 1st July, is also going to cause some element of disruption. So I would tend to believe that at every rise, maybe it's a good time to sell one's holding here and look at other sectors to invest in. That's what I would suggest.
But this is only a sell call, so basically booking profits, not a naked sell.
No, it's yeah, absolutely. It's not a naked sell. I'm an investor, so I don't believe in this naked buy or naked sell. Then the name itself sounds on this family channel little odd. But yeah, absolutely right. It's basically to book profits. Somebody is holding these commodities, and you just came out with the numbers of Coal India, etc. So that's not too much of a surprise to me. So I think every rise, if somebody is holding these stocks, I think it's a good time to sell, and there are enough and more sectors that one can invest in.
Right. Ruchit, any view on CESE? One of the guests this morning recommended the name. It's already up 1.5. What are the levels that you would watch out for?
Well, again, Pankaj, clearly a high top, high bottom structure, and it's not only the high top, high bottom structure. Post the breakout of 685 levels in the month of Jain, the stock has not shown any kind of corrective moves also. Now, what has happened that any correction which had come during this up move was a 3 or 4 days of consolidation phase, and again the upside momentum had started. So there are still no signs of any reversal would be coming in the stock anytime in near term. So I think one should definitely continue to ride this trend, and the stock has further potential to go higher. Already the stock is trading, I think it's at its all-time high level, and if you see the monthly charts also, the previous has also been broken out. So as per this reciprocal retracements, I think the stock should move further higher towards maybe near 900 level. So one should definitely continue to trade with positive bias in CSE.
Right. Harihar, as far as Idea is concerned, what will be your view on Idea? It's now down 3.5–4%. Do you think again consolidation is something which will keep the stock high?
No, Idea is already on my sell list, as I said in the morning, and I have been cautious on Idea for a couple of reasons. Number one, even assuming that the so-called merger with Vodafone does happen, I've been saying that I'm not too sure how much substantive difference it could make as far as the financials and the profitability of the company is concerned. Number one. Number two, see, let's not forget that Jio is not here for the short haul, they're there for the long haul. And I think as long as Jio is going to make a dent in the market, all these companies are going to take a really bad hit as far as top line and bottom line are concerned. I think that's already evident as far as this quarter results are concerned, and it could only get worse in the next few quarters. So I think Idea probably has rallied about 50–60%, and in my view, now forget about whether the merger happens or doesn't happen. It's a good opportunity to short the stock. So either if you're long, sell it and come out. If you're not long, I think it's a good idea to probably buy put options or start selling the futures of the stock.
Right. Let's talk about some results that will come out today. Hindalco up 2%. It's the top gainer on Nifty pack. Do you expect strong standalone numbers?
Absolutely. I think most of the metal companies in India, and look at Tata Steel results, I think they're absolutely outstanding. I think as SV was rightly saying, there are two things that are working in favor of a lot of these metal/alloy companies. The first, of course, is the proposed $1 trillion investment that Trump has been promising into infrastructure. Now, there is no clarity on when that will happen, but that is definitely keeping the sentiments up and the commodity prices up. The second is China Railways is planning around a $300 billion investment to upgrade the entire Chinese railways. Now, that is also going to lead to a huge demand as far as metals are concerned. So I think as long as these two the global cues are there, definitely I would believe that Indian as far as global metal companies will have a good time. And I think Hindalco results like Tata Steel is going to be a surprise on the positive side.
And that's why you think the stock is going up ahead of numbers?
Yeah, obviously, I think that seems to be the expectation, and as I said, we believe that like Tata Steel, Hindalco should also surprise us on the upside as far as the results are concerned.
Right. SP, what would you do with Infosys? A lot of news flow regarding what's being said by the board and the founders, and something new coming in every day. Do you think now the worst is behind Infosys? It should move higher?
See, frankly, for a long time, I have not been a great votary of the Indian IT story. I think it's already run up. They have a big base. Unless they are able to dramatically rejig their strategy, especially with all these H1B problems. President Trump's clear views, and he's unambiguous about it. He's also talking of halving green card. So even Indians who are already there and were hoping for a green card, not just Indians, a lot of other countries as well, are all going to be worried. So in the aftermath of that, and even before this, I've always maintained that, look, this arbitrage game can carry on only for some time, and a lot of these IT guys have tried to beat some of our Indian companies by setting up their own wholly owned subs in India. So given that background, I've not been a great votary of this. I don't want to comment on what's happening because it's unfortunate. When you have these great names who are always, we mention in the context of corporate governance, Tata's earlier, and then Infosys, you feel a little sad, and one hopes and prays that whatever is coming on the front pages get settled amicably, openly, transparently behind doors. That's what I hope. But as far as markets are concerned, I've never been a great votary of IT stocks, given my own question mark about the entire business model. So I would keep a wide berth, and given especially all these distractions for the management, whatever people may say, this is a distraction. How long this distraction will continue, we don't know. I would much rather keep a wide berth.
Right. Ruchit, what would you do with IndusInd Bank? There are also a lot of rumors, murmurs about some merger or some corporate action coming through there. But this stock has found some resistance around 1350 or thereabouts. If it takes it out convincingly, where could the stock go?
Well, Anisha, irrespective of all the corporate action and the news that is going on in the stock, one should definitely see that amongst the private sector banking space, IndusInd Bank is one of the stocks which has outperformed all the other stocks. So I think this outperformance would continue. There are no signs of any kind of reversal in the stock. Yes, around 1340 the stock is resisting, but one must also see that since last 1 week, along with the markets, it is showing a time-wise correction and not correcting price-wise. So which is also a positive sign. I think more or less this outperformance would continue, and once its 1340 levels are taken out, we can see levels around 1410, 1420 in very short term. So one should definitely trade with positive bias in this stock. No signs of trend reversal, and time-wise correction is still a positive sign.
Meghna, let's just look at the markets as well. So for the last 3 days, 8,820, 25, 30, at that level, whenever Nifty is trying to take that out, you're seeing incremental selling pressure. Markets did see a gap up opening. It went above the 8820 mark, which has been difficult for it to take it out. But then again below 8800. You think that level will continue to see selling pressure?
Yeah, Pankaj, essentially the level that we are in, the zone we are in is, we've had resistance at that zone at the previously. I mean, the highs are acting as resistance. Moreover, if you see the monthly chart, if you go one time frame higher, in the monthly chart, the momentum is halted at the bullish zone where it should, ideally, the trend would continue if it moves above that. So we have resistance in terms of momentum, resistance in terms of price. So we're bound to see some kind of selling pressure. I would say we need some trigger for the market to make us move above this level. So unless and until that happens, we'll continue to see it consolidating around this level.
SV, in terms of markets going higher from here on, are you surprised by the FII number and the consistency that they have shown in the last 10 days?
Not really, Pankaj, because let's cut all the noise away. I think there were a lot of doomsday predictions as far as demonetization is concerned. Now that have really not borne fruit. Yes, certain sectors have got hit, certain sectors have not got hit, but on an overall basis, like Harrier mentioned, steel has been a hugely pleasant surprise, and there are quite a lot of these companies and sectors which have which have escaped unscathed in some sense, if one can put it. So India was underperforming because people were worried about demonetization. Once that was out of the way, this is not a surprise that FIs got back into the market. And the good thing which I've been telling for a long time is the solid investments that will continue to come from domestic DIIs because of the whole SIP story and the kind of money that they're getting. So I'm not too sort of surprised by this, except one word of caution is, look, Indian markets are, I think, more than fairly valued, and given the fact that US economy is expected to do well, interest rate hikes are expected in US. Harrier rightly mentioned about the $1 trillion investment in the US, which the president has talked about. So given all that, dollar strengthens, US economy does well, FIs may not invest in emerging. So if India were to give a story, it has to be on our own fundamentals. If our fundamentals are good, earnings are good, yes, then you will see some allocation coming from these guys.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning, giving us your picks and what you like about the stocks or the stocks that you dislike. As we go, let's take a disclosures. Meghna, what are your disclosures?
I do not personally hold any of the stocks to discuss, but my students may have holding.
Harihar, your disclosures?
See, in terms of personal positions, I think REC and Satin are stocks I hold in a small way. But other stocks, we can assume that we have probably recommended to our clients at different points of time.
Mr. Prasad, your disclosures?
Yeah, I have a very small holding in, continue to have a small holding in SBI, HPCL and Sun Pharma.
Ruchit, your disclosures?
I don't personally hold any of the stocks that we discussed today, but we have recommended some of them to our clients, so they may have any holdings.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on NDTV Profit this morning.
On that note, we are taking a break. Coming back in 2 minutes. Result season is going on. I earlier spoke to Sam Ghosh, Group CEO at Reliance Capital.